Hey there, folks. It's Zach at Feel Free to Argue. Uh, Hope everybody's doing okay. Hey, I'm on day, what is this? Day 4 of holding the crack up at bay. But it's coming. Sure as rain. Um, but in the meanwhile, we're going to try to be a bit philosophical this evening. Maybe even prompt some responses. I've had some interesting things going through my mind. First one. I watched a movie recently, and something about it really stuck with me. It's a classic Akira Kurosawa film. It's called Yojimbo. And it's about this kind of rudderless samurai, someone who's not attached to any particular clan. Very, very skillful. And he goes into this town based on random chance. He throws his sword in the air and he goes that direction. And he wanders into this town where there's this raging battle going on between these two clans. They're kind of fighting over control of this town and just kind of ripping it to shreds in the process. And he just kind of really skillfully, plays one of them against the other and basically causes them all to kill one another. And the question is, what do you think the Yojimbo response to the current set of crises would be? How do you think, what's the solution that kind of takes everything in that's bad in the world and pits it all against one another? Mull over that, and you can, either leave a text response or a video response. And a little bit dry tonight. That's better. And the other thing I was kind of wondering about as sort of a philosophical question, I know some of you believe that, the whole idea of global warming is a scam, but I don't want to get tied up in discussing whether or not it is a scam. I mean, I believe in it, but I don't want to get into a big, long argument about it. I want you to kind of accept it as a basic premise for, just kind of any kind of disastrously wrong scenario that has global effect. Something that affects, all nations equally. At what point do you favor some kind of maybe even possibly tyrannical worldwide solution to a global problem versus the whole notion of kind of the extinction of the human race? In other words, do you literally think it's worth the extinction of the human race to avoid a tyrannical global solution? This is, of course, not assuming and probably, almost implicitly assuming that it wouldn't be the case that this would last forever. I mean, there would be a temporary solution. I mean, it would, it could go on for the foreseeable future, several hundred years or so. But I mean, I would assume at some point, something about the human soul would triumph and it would like break apart into smaller pieces again. Um, so I guess the question is, you know, if that were required to prevent some sort of global catastrophe that would lead to the extinction of the human race, I mean, is that worth it? Or do you think at some point, you know, our freedoms kick in and they're just more important and they're worth the extermination of the entire human race? So, you can use global warming as a premise. If you can think of something else, in terms of a global, a global pandemic of some sort that like travels very quickly. Um, Anything you want, as an imaginary scenario that gets you to the same result. But to contemplate that idea of, is there a way that you could accept, a global tyranny, through the UN or any other kind of found body, maybe a military coalition or whatever, um, that would solve the problem and save the human race, or to forego that, and save our sovereignty and our individual liberty. Um, Interested in what people's answers to those questions might be. And no, I'm not going to commit suicide based on your answer, so don't worry. uh, have a good evening, everybody. This is Zach Elliott at Feel Free to Argue, or more importantly, leave a response.